bitches go.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego Unpacked. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Anthony Joshua says that Lennox Lewis is a clown and he don't respect Lennox Lewis. What? What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working now. Anthony Joshua did some kind of special with Sky Sports, link in the description. And there's a video of it as well that surfaced. And he calls Lennox Lewis a clown. He says they're not cut from the same cloth. I'm going to read the direct quotes. And then we're going to unpack this together. We unpack, coming to you live. If you're new, consider subscribing. So, Sky Sports. Anthony Joshua calls Lennox Lewis a clown on new Sky Sports show, AJ The Untold Truth. AJ has labeled Lennox Lewis a clown and said they are cut from a different cloth. Britain's Lewis remains the last undisputed heavyweight champion and enjoyed a historic wins over Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, but has irked Joshua in the aftermath of his defeat against Andy Ruiz Jr. Quote, "I can't look at the fight and agree that AJ was fully prepared," tweeted Lennox Lewis, who has also called into question the ability of Joshua's trainer, Rob McCracken, right? So somebody, a fan, says, "Hey, but champ, was it Mandy's fault when you lost to Hasim Rahman? Or did you take your eye off the ball? Granted, he landed that one punch on you, whereas AJ got took apart, but would it not be best to judge on the rematch?" Right? And Lennox Lewis said, "I knew exactly what I did wrong before I left the ring that night and exactly how to correct it. If AJ and team feel the same way, then so be it. It just seemed during the fight that they didn't have the answers when they needed them." Right? And this is an old school picture of Joshua being at the Olympics with Lennox Lewis. And this is what Joshua had to say. Hold on, we unpack, coming to you live. We go unpack this. Joshua says, quote, "Lennox is a clown. I don't respect Lennox," Joshua said on AJ The Untold Truth. It was suggested that Lennox Lewis left an impressive legacy, but Joshua replied, so am I. Quote, "Me and Lennox are not the same. My legacy is to sit back and enjoy the younger generation coming up and not to be involved. Just to appreciate what it takes to get there. Lennox isn't like that. Me and Lennox are cut from a different cloth. Like Joshua against Ruiz Jr., Lewis also suffered a shock defeat and avenged both results by winning his rematches with Oliver McCall and Hasim Rahman. Joshua has a chance to do similarly against Ruiz Jr. with all the titles on the line December 7th in Saudi Arabia. Joshua promised that he would no longer concentrate on a future fight with WBC champion Deontay Wilder and potentially have every major belt at stake. Quote, "I'm not focusing on that anymore. I had 22 fights and was talking about being undisputed. What am I going to do after? Go and fight Otto Wallen? It was like I was coming to the end of my road already, worrying about undisputed. I became heavyweight champion. I unified the division twice, and now my goal is to become two-time heavyweight champion of the world. Once I achieve that, I can look at becoming undisputed. The undisputed stuff, it was right in front of me, but it was one of the biggest curses lingering over my head when I was a champion." Okay. I gotta we unpacked. Joshua sounds mentally fragile in this whole interview. I'm sorry, I'm just allergic to bullshit. Anyway, Joshua sounds mentally fragile. He is attacking a legend, arguably the best heavyweight that's ever lived, somebody who represented the same place, the UK, but also Canada, in Lennox Lewis. And if you listen to the quotes that he's saying, he's almost talking down as if like he's done some shit that Lennox Lewis ain't done. Lennox Lewis resume, obviously it's unfair to compare, just given the fact that one's career is active and then the other person's career is already completed. However, the way he's saying it, obviously people are going to compare. The way he's saying Lennox Lewis is a clown and we not cut from the same cloth, as if he's surpassed anything that Lewis has done, which is not true at all. And this is, to me, this is looking like the unraveling of Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, to me, I've said it in the past, I think he lacks true confidence. He doesn't sound truly confident. Like that's why it's almost to the point of it sounds like borderline like bipolar disorder, because he'll say something and then he'll say something like where he opens up and he seems extremely vulnerable, to the point where I'm like, damn, why did he even say that? Why would he reveal so much about himself being an active fighter in a martial art where enemies are like sharks? They smell blood. They're looking for any chinks in the armor. They're looking for ways to psychologically gain favor or the edge. And I'm like, why would Joshua, like the sports psychologist, Anthony Joshua's, he said before the Andy Ruiz fight, he got a sports psychologist. And then he also said that, what if Andy Ruiz, I have a game plan to beat him. This is before the fight. You can research everything I'm saying. He says, I have a game plan to beat Ruiz, but what if he hits me with the big shot? This Navy SEALs guy turned sports psychologist is coaching me to help me cope with these various types of things and pressure scenarios. And I'm like, why would you tell people that? He also has an interview with Carl Frampton where Carl Frampton said, hey, what did you learn in the Klitschko fight? And he's like, oh man, this is before the Ruiz fight. He said, what did I learn? He said, I learned my body type. I was too heavy, and he was like, I need to work on my stamina. And he says, I told my coaches after the fight, if I have another one of these fights, then I'm done with boxing, because I shouldn't have to go through all this. And I'm like, why the fuck would he say that? He literally, the video, again, it's an interview with Carl Frampton. He told Carl Frampton that one of his things he learned in the Klitschko fight, getting knocked down, Carl Frampton was basically drawing comparisons saying, hey, I've been knocked down in fights. What did you learn from getting knocked down and then, turning it around and beating Klitschko? And he says, if I go through another, basically a war like this, then I'm done with boxing, because I shouldn't have to go through this. It should be a good, even scrap back and forth, but it shouldn't be like that, So to me, it just sounds like the unraveling. Now he's going after a legend in Lennox Lewis, and really, to me, the way I interpret it, I don't know how you guys interpret it, we Unpacked. He making it sound like Lennox Lewis ain't shit. He said, I don't respect him. I mean, how are you a boxing fan and you're a heavyweight, but you don't respect Lennox Lewis? And the funny thing is, Lennox Lewis ain't saying nothing any different than what a lot of people are saying. So you have to be able to take criticism. How can you take punches for a living, but you can't take a bit of criticism? And the thing is, Lennox Lewis, out of all people, Lennox Lewis, he's had criticism, but he's like an OG, he's Lennox Lewis. Even when he was an active fighter, he ain't no punk. You ain't just gonna step to Lennox Lewis, then you'll get the Babman, you'll get the other side of Lennox. But Lennox Lewis is not even the one, the type of almost temperament to go look for go out of his way to, like, embarrass people. Like, what I'm saying? Like a Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor, he's not going out of his way to trash talk people and shit like that. Like Broner or something like that. That's not even his MO. But again, he's no punk. So Joshua's really offended at what Lennox Lewis is saying. And it ain't no different than what a lot of people are saying. Like Lennox Lewis, he's not saying nothing too different than what Amir Khan and David Price and David Hay have said. Myself, people have all said like, hey, exercise caution. Hey, you should consider getting a new trainer. Maybe this guy, you can't go to a university with your third grade teacher. That's what Lennox said. But everybody's saying this stuff. Everybody's saying, hey, you should think about it before you go into this rematch. So why is he going after a legend for one, but then also an inactive fighter? Again, we'll use active fighters. There's active fighters that are your contemporaries that have been linked to fight you, and they're saying harsher things in a harsher fashion than the Lennox Lewis. Like Tyson Fury just did an interview, and he says, once you lose, you don't get no pussy. And Tyson Fury said nobody cares about Anthony. This is just the other day to TMZ. He said nobody cares about Anthony Joshua anymore because he got knocked out by a fat guy. That's what he said. And then Tyson Fury also did an interview, and he says 1,000,000% Andy Ruiz beats Joshua again, right? He said Joshua's a big stiff idiot and robot, all types of stuff. Deontay Wilder has done several interviews, and he said, man, he quit. He's called Joshua a coward. He says he was a fraud, after he lost. Wilder has spoke his mind too, and all of which between Wilder and Fury have spoke their mind and pulled no punches with no filter versus Lennox Lewis. A guy like Lewis, man like Lewis, he's not even got at Joshua like that. So for your priority to be dissing Lennox Lewis, an inactive retired legend, that to me that shows something. Why are you not going? Why is Joshua not going in on? Why is he not going in on the active fighters that he could fight that are talking even greasier? But he's calling Lennox Lewis a clown, saying he don't respect him. But Dillian White accused him of being on twos, and then he just different shit like this. Gerald Miller, and he don't seem to have that same energy. So there's a lot of conflicting things, it looks like, going in on Joshua. Rest in peace to Neighborhood Nip. Today was his birthday. Definitely I gotta send my regards to him. This is stuff Lennox Lewis said even before this interview. He said, until I see both fighters sign on the bottom line, I don't believe it. Although I wouldn't mind seeing it in Mexico. I would think Hearn would angle for the Cardiff or Wembley, or worse comes to worse, New York again. Actually, all I said is I don't believe it until both fighters are signed on the bottom line. But yes, looks like it's happening in Saudi Arabia. That said, looking forward to it. This is the type of comments, because I follow Lennox. So you see right there, I follow him, so I see his tweets. I see what he said about Joshua. I've made videos about what he said about Joshua. And again, Lennox Lewis, his approach particularly definitely ain't no worse than Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. They got way harsher shit to say. So it's weird that Joshua seems to be coming unglued about what Lennox Lewis said. And then he's talking as if Lennox Lewis ain't shit. Like, oh, we're cut from a different cloth. I don't even think you're qualified to say that. That's like Julio Cesar Chavez saying, man, Andre Ward's a clown. We cut from a different cloth. Like, I don't think Chavez Jr. is qualified to say it like that. You know what I'm saying? Lennox Lewis says, if AJ fixes what needs to be fixed, it would be a different fight. Ruiz hasn't faced the best AJ yet. If AJ doesn't get things fixed, could be a repeat for Ruiz in the same fashion. But bro, why is he a clown for this? Look at these are the types of comments that Lennox Lewis is saying. How is this? That's what I'm saying. This don't look good for Joshua. Between what Eddie Hearn's doing, between having fighterless press conferences, and the way Joshua is acting, hot and cold and shit, good cop, bad cop. This is not a good look. This is further proof of what I've been saying. New media, we unpacked. Joshua, he doesn't sound solidly put together. You're angry. Look at how This is not a slighted one-side comment. He says, if AJ fixes what needs to be fixed, it could be a different fight. Ruiz hasn't faced the best AJ. If AJ doesn't, then it'll be a repeat. That's kind of like goes without saying. How are you mad at Lennox Lewis? This is crazy. You calling Lennox, you calling the undisputed legend, you know, he had some losses and he avenged both losses, or all of his losses. Lennox Lewis says, wow, he's right. We are cut from a different cloth. Look, Lennox, he's like, oh, hell no. He said, wow, he's right. We are cut from a different cloth. Undisputed wasn't something I was worried about. It was something I went after until it was accomplished. Ooh, burned him. You know, Joshua was talking about he's worried. Man, this is not a good look. Disappointed in AJ's words, but I understand that this jealousy narrative was only fabricated after I criticized them for Wilder negotiations. All of a sudden, I'm a hater. Ask who benefits from such a simple-minded narrative. Not AJ, not me. Right? And then he posted a former tweet that he put of AJ. He said, I think this speaks for itself. Casting me as a jealous hater for AJ's career is nonsense. It all started with rightful criticism for not doing enough to make the Wilder fight happen. I won't be pitted against AJ. Hashtag the Hearn agenda. You know? It says, at Eddie Hearn, good stuff, by the way. Good work with AJ. Looking forward to the big one. There could be only one. Wink. And this was from May 26, 2018. So Lennox Lewis is out here showing receipts. He has not always been critical. I just showed you some tweets from the other day before this interview even came out, and AJ called him a clown. And it wasn't like this one-sided, super biased narrative. I understand he's a commentator with PBC. I know some people probably throw that out there like as if that's an angle. Oh, he's a PBC. Before Lennox Lewis was even confirmed with PBC, he had a lot of the same things to say about the situation. You know, the Fox PBC deal wasn't even around last year, so you can't even use that. BBC's talking about it too. Pause. Anthony Joshua critical of Lennox Lewis as Andy Ruiz has his say. A person asked Andy Ruiz who would win in a fantasy fight, Joshua versus Lewis, and then Andy Ruiz Jr. said Lennox all day, which I agreed to. Man, this is not a good look to me. You know, for me, in my opinion, this is not a good look for Anthony Joshua. He seems to be taking everything personal, really off-putting comments about I'm not worried about Undisputed anymore. Who says these things? I've never heard Errol Spence. I just was at a press conference. Errol Spence didn't say that. He didn't say I'm not worried about. Errol Spence literally said, and it's all on tape, at the Sean Porter press conference, he got a unification. Errol Spence said particularly, he said, I'm not looking past Sean. He said, Sean Porter, he a dog. I'm not looking past that. But there are great fights out there outside of it. I like to fight the best in the division. After Porter, he said, I'll fight Manny Pacquiao. And, you know, he said Keith Thurman's still an option. Danny Garcia, Terrence Crawford, let's go. Sean Porter said the same thing. He said after this, he want Pacquiao. You know, that's a fight he's been wanting and stuff. So you don't see that. Terrence Crawford, damn sure they never said nothing like, you know, I was undisputed at 140. You know, now my focus ain't 147 being undisputed. So Joshua just sounds really mentally weak, to be honest. You know, getting this angry at and see, Joshua has like misplaced anger. Again, out of all the people who have given you criticism, like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and Lennox Lewis, you go after the retired, you know, older fighter. That speaks volumes. Why not go after Wilder for being on Good Morning Great Britain yelling you're a coward, you know, things like that, and Tyson Fury saying you're a big wooden stiff idiot, and Andy Ruiz is calling you a robot. You know, Joshua, he's not looking like he's built for this. We're gonna find out in the rematch. Obviously the rematch has to happen first, and you know, Andy Ruiz said it's not happening in Saudi Arabia, so we have to see how that plays out. But I don't like what I'm hearing here. You know, He said that undisputed stuff, it was right in front of me, but it was one of the biggest curses lingering over my head when I was a champion. That doesn't sound confident. I've never heard Floyd Mayweather or Roy Jones talk like this. He says, I'm not focusing on that undisputed stuff anymore. I had 22 fights and was talking about being undisputed. What am I going to do after this? Go and fight Otto Wallen? What is he talking about? Usyk, bro, Joshua it doesn't look like he has it, bro. I don't know how else to put it. Usyk became undisputed in the World Boxing Super Series, won the fucking Muhammad Ali trophy, and after fought Tony Bellew, who was a previous champion emeritus at cruiserweight, and knocked him out. And Tony Bellew was coming off of 2 heavyweight wins versus David Haye. And then you have Joshua talking about, oh yeah, I had 22 fights and I was talking about being undisputed. What am I going to do after this? Go and fight Otto Wallen? Like, what is Otto Wallen? That's some Tyson Fury shit. What does that have to do with being undisputed? Where's the correlation? Again, Usyk was undisputed and still wanted more. He was like, nah, fuck that. Give me Tony Bellew. He's a former champion. I'm trying to show y'all I'm the best cruiserweight. And then he did that. He knocked him out. And now he's moving up to heavyweight for his next challenge. But you have Joshua, and he's basically making it sound like he was rushed and it was so premature. And why would he be worried about undisputed? What are you talking about? Bro, Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn, they have babied Anthony Joshua. And I feel like I've said it before. New media, you see how I'm consistent. They have treated him like a man child. You know, he keeps talking about his 22nd fight. Who cares? Lomachenko went for a title in his second fight and was younger. You know, Tank Davis became a champion before his 13th, 15th fight or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere around there. Shakur Stevenson has aspiration for the, like, Joshua's acting like he's reinventing the wheel. Like, oh, I only had 22 fights. That's a good amount of fights for a heavyweight. You know? This is not sounding good. He said it was like I was coming to the end of my road already, worrying about undisputed. I became a heavyweight champion. See, and then this is really weird. You start laundry listing all of your accomplishments. It's like you're trying to give yourself self-reassurance. I became heavyweight champion. I unified the division twice. You fought Joseph Parker, who avoided Wilder. You avoided Wilder. What are we talking about? You beat Charles Martin. You avoided Luis Ortiz. Wilder. You never fought Tyson Fury. You act like you went. Joshua's acting like he went through these guys. And now my goal is to become 2-time heavyweight champion. Once I achieve that, I could look at becoming undisputed. So what's the difference? So you basically had to lose and you know, get perceived that you quit and drop 4 times in order to look at undisputed. This don't even make sense to me. He says, I'm looking at becoming 2-time heavyweight champion. If he beats Ruiz and gets his belt back, he'll be 2-time champion, kind of like Andre Berto or something. And he says, once I achieve that, I could look at becoming undisputed. What's the difference? You were looking at undisputed when you were undefeated. Now you're saying like, oh, after I become, man, this look crazy. That undisputed stuff, it was right in front of me, but it was one of the biggest curses lingering over my head when I was a champion. All of this sounds mentally frail. There's some fragility there, bro. There's no other way to put it. He says it was lingering over my head and it was one of the biggest curses. I don't recall any top class elite fighter refer to collecting the belts and being undisputed as a curse lingering over their head. Like Gennady Golovkin came extremely close to being undisputed. You know, he needed at one point 1 belt against Billy Joe Saunders. I never heard him refer to it, oh, this is such a burden or a hassle or a curse. What? This is not good, man. I'm definitely picking Ruiz in the rematch. That's my thoughts. I think Joshua has a lot of misdirected anger. He going at Lennox Lewis. it doesn't look like he's doing well with the pressure. See, and now we're starting to see. So after the fight, this is Joshua. This is Andy's night. Congrats to the champ. And now, and then he posted this. Then he posted this flexing picture. This is just after right after Ruiz beat him. Don't let success get to your head and failure get to your heart. He's smirking and flexing, and he's popping a wheelie in Times Square, like acting like he's having the time of his life after he just lost all of his belts and everything he worked for. And then now this looks like like The Rock just filmed Hobbs and Shaw and production wrapped or something. This is crazy. Now we're starting to see that he's not okay with the loss. This was all a front. Joshua looks really conflicted. That's the best word. He looks really conflicted. He like a lot of things going on in his head. And I just think it's a bad look. I'm definitely picking Ruiz because Ruiz has been more consistent. Ruiz has said, hey, I want to fight in Mexico. I want to fight in the USA. Boom. End of story. Joshua's like, oh yeah, I want to go back to the scene of the crime. I want to fight where it happened, where the Knicks play. I'll fight him in New York again. And then now he want to fight in Saudi Arabia. Or he's like, I love to bring it to Cardiff. And now he's talking about he'll fight him in Mexico. Okay, fight him in Mexico. You'll fight him in Mexico. Let his Theo be the referee. Fight him in Mexico. Tell Eddie to, call off the dogs and stop threatening with lawsuits and shit. And fight him in Mexico. But that's not happening because we know he's not about that. He's not serious about that. He's not seriously pursuing those options. That's why they're trying to get it where he has the advantage. This is not a good look, people. Joshua's fall from grace has been an immense one. And now he's attacking Lennox. You're attacking an inactive legend who's done more and making it sound like he ain't shit and he's a clown, like he's always against you. Him and Eddie Hearn, like I said, I just feel Joshua's been babied and him and Eddie Hearn have somehow concocted this plan. Like, see, this is what's wrong with this society. If you say any kind of criticism, then you're a hater. They say, oh, you hate Anthony Joshua. I put motherfuckers on Anthony Joshua in America, factually. You can come to my old videos, go listen, just type a simple Google search, YouTube search, type Anthony Joshua, right? And Boxing Ego. Put those 3 keywords in the search engine and pull up what you find. And until the Wilder shit, just like Lennox Lewis, until the Wilder shit, I had no criticisms really for Joshua. I didn't say anything. I put people on Joshua. I told people, hey, this dude, he could be something. I never, I don't do the same like old media. I wasn't saying he's the next Mike Tyson or no shit like that. But I was like, he's a good fighter. I'm really checking for him. Y'all should peep. I put people on him. But then because decisions made in his career from him and Eddie Hearn, his team, etc., right? Then all of a sudden motherfuckers like, oh, you hate him. You hate. I don't hate none of these fighters. These fighters didn't do nothing to me personally. After I hit the record button and then hit it again to turn off the record, I go about my life. I go about my regular day. I'm not worried about it. I'm not pressed about it. I don't have no, like I said, Joshua ain't never done that to me. Had no personal interaction with him. But at the end of the day, I'm a man and I'm entitled to my opinion. This is my job. This is what I do, and why would I tuck my tail and, not have feelings on the sport that I love? Just like he has feelings. He said Lennox Lewis is a clown. That's his opinion. If he can tell his opinion, even if it don't make sense to me, then I can say my opinion. That's how that is. But a lot going on, a lot to unpack. I want to give you guys my detailed thoughts, but they're making it like Lennox Lewis is notorious for he not even saying nothing as crazy. He's not saying things as harsh as Tyson Fury. I know that for a fact. Just listen to what Tyson Fury says. He's a big wooden stiff idiot. Him and Joseph Parker, not even good enough to be my sparring partners. A message to the weightlifter. Then you got Gerald Miller, Dillian White accusing you of juicing and being on something and being on twos and getting exemptions. These are all active fighters. You got Wilder calling you a coward. Wilder saying you was a fraud. Look at after Joshua lost. Well, look, after Wilder reacted, this is when Joshua lost. Let me see if I can pull it up. He said he wasn't a man he was portrayed to be. Look, this is Wilder. Joshua, he wasn't a true champion. His whole career has consisted of lies, contradictions, and gifts, facts. And now we know who was running from who to this day, right? This is June 1st, the day. This is Wilder. This is the day Joshua lost, so we know who he's talking about, you know? He said his career is... So you, out of all people, you mad at Lennox Lewis, you know? You made a Lennox Lewis who has given you praise, and he definitely, like I said, he's not saying things as harsh. And the thing that makes Joshua sound like mentally kind of fragile is this man is a legend, and you're not fucking with his resume. You making it sound... Lennox Lewis was undefeated. Lennox Lewis fought everybody. Cannon Briggs, David Tua, Hasim Rahman, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Oliver McCall, Tommy Morrison, rest in peace, right? When it comes to that, Razor Ruddock, he was trying to fight Riddick Bowe. You know, he went to the Olympics. Man, he did everything you did times 1,000. So this whole jealous narrative sounds really stupid to me. He went to the Olympics like you did. He had a better career than you did. He wasn't getting stopped by some fat dude who was brought in for 5 weeks to train. You know, what's he got to be jealous about? Like, they got to stop. Eddie Hearn and Joshua, they got to stop. They got to stop Baby and Joshua. This look bad, man. This look real bad. You going after a legend, man. Look at this picture. The picture is legendary. This is bad, man. And to me, that just shows, like I said, the unraveling, the pressure. Some people aren't built for the pressure. Like Floyd Mayweather, he built for the pressure. You could see, you know. I seen Floyd in big ass crowds and shit, and he chewing gum at the weigh-in. He walking out, he look unbothered. Manny Pacquiao, he walks out for his ring, big fights. He's smiling, walking out to Katy Perry and shit. Joshua, he don't look like he's fit for the pressure. Like he's having a breakdown of Oliver McCall type shit or something. I don't know, because you going after a legend and he ain't even saying the worst of things. He's saying regular shit. Hey, you should maybe get a new trainer. A lot of people are saying that. You know, hey, maybe you shouldn't go in the rematch. A lot of people are saying that. David Price said that. David Price also said he slept you in sparring. So it's like Joshua wants one-sided, only positive comments or something. If not, I guess you're labeled as a hater. That's not right. That's not right. How are you a hater unless you just say favorable things, even at unfavorable times? So if Eddie Hearn's managing you in a certain way, look how calm Lennox Lewis was, bro. You're not fucking with Lennox. Stop. Joshua got to stop, bro. You know, he fought, Klitschko, how could I forget? This man fought everybody, bro. And you saying you not cut, like, you say, bro, Joshua sound crazy. You're saying Lennox ain't cut from the same cloth as you, as if you've done over what Lennox Lewis has done. What? Man, that's like, man, I'm trying to think of, that's like Harold Miner saying Michael Jordan ain't cut from the same cloth. He's a fucking clown or something. You Harold Miner though, like you ain't done over what Michael Jordan has done. Like, oh man, Michael Jordan, he a fucking clown. You can't look, to me, that's crazy. That's crazy. You can't look at the Michael Jordans of your division and Michael Jordans of your sport and then make it look like, you know, like you cut from two different cloths. Like, I can get it if you said like, oh, you know, I think Floyd Mayweather's a hater because he did this, and this. You know, he don't want to give no one credit. Something like that. That's one thing, you know, because that's a personality thing. But when it comes to this here career, you're not fucking with Lennox Lewis. And I'm telling you that, and I'm not even a Lennox Lewis. I'm a new, when I was a kid, I was a Mike Tyson fan. So I didn't, you know, you're a kid, you play the sides game and shit. I didn't even like Lennox Lewis as a kid. I thought he was all proper and, you know, I was a Tyson fan. So it like kind of jaded me. But then I developed an appreciation as I got into the sport and started to respect and look at what the man did. So I had no choice but to bow down. You know, it's just what it is. We unpack. That's my thoughts. I think Joshua is way off the mark. You know, what does Lennox Lewis have to be jealous of? I've said this before. You know, this just looks like Joshua's unstable. And then beyond that, you got to be worried about the actual fight. I don't know if they're doing this for views. I don't know what, but you got to get the fight cracking, because Ruiz is saying he ain't fighting in Saudi Arabia. Your promoter's having a press conference without Ruiz. You know, that got to be in order. You got to be, you know, mentally preparing for the fight, and you worried about Lennox Lewis anyway. So that to me shows an absence of, you know, clarity, and the absence of a present mind. Like his mind, and then to say, oh, I was so busy worried about Undisputed. This is what I said in the 7 reasons. What does boxing want from me? I did 7 reasons. This is exactly what I said. I said, Joshua, I don't know if he's built for this pressure. That was one of my 7 reasons before he even lost to Andy Ruiz. The video is still up. I told you the pressure was getting to Joshua. He's basically confirming it. Oh man, I was so worried about Undisputed. You know, why rush? What was I worried about? You know, that was he said it was lingering over my head. That Undisputed stuff, it was right in front of me. It was one of the biggest curses. This is what I said in the 7 reasons. Pressure bursts pipes. I'm trying to tell y'all. Pressure bursts pipes. Always remember that. Pressure bursts pipes. And it looks like it's happening to Joshua. You know, it's just a heavy burden. It's like Thor's hammer. Not everyone can pick that up. Not everyone can pick up Thor's hammer. Not everyone's strong enough to carry that burden. You got to be, you know, from Asgard. You have to, you know, be anointed like these dudes. You know, Joshua, he seems to be worried about the wrong things. You got to worry about pleasing Ruiz and making sure you even have a chance at your belts again. You worried about Lennox Lewis said, and he's saying that cool, calm, collect on Twitter and shit, and you worried about that? Man, that don't sound good to me. You gotta worry about your promoter. And like I said, Eddie Hearn and them, I think they're babying Joshua, making it sound like, you know, everyone who says anything negative is just hating, whatever. That doesn't make sense to me. People can have an opinion, and these people are expressing why they feel like that. A lot of people think you should leave Rob McCracken. Trust me, it's not just Lennox Lewis. You know, no disrespect to that man, but that's what it is. You know, a lot of people think you should think twice about the rematch. It's not like Lennox Lewis. A lot of people think you ducked Wilder. It's not just Lennox Lewis. It's me too, you know, among other people. So I don't see why all this venom and rage is aimed at Lennox particularly. We unpack. Let me know what you guys think. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.